It was a dark, frigid night on August 17, 1945, when U-boat 977 quietly slept out of the port of Kiel, Germany, under the cover of a moonless sky. The war had ended months earlier, and Europe was in shambles. Adolf Hitler had reportedly committed suicide in his bunker. The Third Reich had collapsed, and the Allies were sweeping across Germany, rounding up Nazi leaders and bringing them to justice. Yet, amidst the chaos, one German submarine embarked on a mission shrouded in secrecy. The orders given to Captain Heinz Schäfer were ambiguous. There was no mention of surrendering, nor was there any clear destination. What the crew did know, however, was that they were headed south. Far south. It was whispered among the men that this was not a simple escape to neutral waters. This was something different, something more sinister. The first few days of their journey were uneventful, though the silence aboard the submarine was eerie. The crew, made up of hardened veterans, could not shake the feeling that they were heading into the unknown. They noticed Captain Schäfer's behavior becoming more erratic. He would spend hours locked in his quarters, emerging only to give cryptic orders. The route was unconventional, avoiding the usual naval paths. Schäfer commanded the submarine to dive deeper and travel further than most U-boats ever had. As they crossed the equator and ventured into the South Atlantic, the temperature began to drop sharply. The crew attributed this to their southern course. But soon it became clear that the cold was unnatural. Ice began to form on the exterior of the submarine long before they reached Antarctic waters. Navigation systems malfunctioned intermittently, causing brief moments of panic as the submarine veered off course. By the time they neared the frozen reaches of Antarctica, the crew was on edge. The hum, a deep, bone-chilling vibration that seemed to come from the very depths of the ocean, began to plague the men. It wasn't just a sound. It was a sensation that reverberated through the metal walls of the submarine and into their bodies. No one could explain it. But as they approached their mysterious destination, it grew louder. The men began to speculate that they were not merely fleeing the Allies. Some thought they were escorting important Nazi officials to a hidden sanctuary, while others whispered more outlandish ideas. One even claiming that Adolf Hitler himself was still alive, waiting for them somewhere deep in the frozen wastes of Antarctica. As the days turned into weeks, food supplies ran low, and the oppressive atmosphere within the submarine worsened. The crew began to grow more paranoid, believing they were being watched by something outside the submarine. Even as they were submerged deep in the ocean, a pervasive sense of dread filled the tight corridors. Then, one freezing night, U-boat 977 surfaced in a remote part of the Antarctic coast. Through the periscope, Schäfer saw nothing but ice and snow. But there was something else too. Dark, angular forms rising from the ice in the distance. He ordered the crew to disembark. There were no questions. Despite the bone-numbing cold, they obeyed. The landscape was alien, a frozen wasteland that seemed completely lifeless, save for the distant shapes, towering, geometric structures, half buried in the ice. The men trudged through the snow, their breath visible in the freezing air. As they approached the structures, the wind picked up, bringing with it strange howling sounds that seemed almost like voices. What they found near the entrance of one of the ice-encrusted structures chilled them to the bone. Frozen corpses, men in Nazi uniforms, were scattered around the area. They looked as if they had been there for decades, but the uniforms were modern, just like the crews. It was clear that they had not been the first to make this journey. Captain Schaefer pressed on, leading the men into the mouth of a large ice-covered cave. Inside, they found what looked like the remnants of a Nazi expedition. But there was something else. An iron door embedded in the ice, marked with the unmistakable swastika. Schaefer insisted they go inside. Some of the crew hesitated, but his icy stare and the palpable fear of disobeying sent them forward. The iron door led into a vast subterranean chamber, and what they found inside was beyond anything they could have imagined. The walls were lined with strange, glowing crystals that bathed the chamber in an eerie blue light. The floor was littered with artifacts, strange, ancient-looking objects that did not seem human in origin. And in the center of the room stood a massive, grotesque statue, half human, half beast, with its eyes locked in an eternal gaze of fury and torment. But the most horrifying discovery was yet to come. As the crew ventured deeper into the chamber, they stumbled upon a series of odd, small rooms hidden within the cavern walls. Each chamber contained rows of large glass tubes, test pods, most of them cracked or shattered. Inside these pods were the frozen remains of embryos, twisted and malformed. Some were grotesque hybrids of human and animal, while others were barely recognizable as living creatures at all. The floor was littered with broken glass and the remnants of the embryos, their tiny frozen forms scattered like forgotten experiments. The men could barely comprehend what they were seeing. Was this some kind of horrific Nazi experiment? Or something far older and more malevolent? Whatever the truth, they knew they had stumbled upon something not meant for human eyes. Panic spread through the crew, and some began to flee, their minds unable to process the terror before them. As the surviving crew scrambled back to U-boat 977, Captain Schaefer remained eerily calm. He issued the order to submerge and dive deeper than any U-boat had ever gone before. The hum that had plagued them throughout the journey intensified, rattling the submarine and driving the men to the brink of madness. For days they sailed in near silence, the few remaining crew members haunted by the memories of the underground chambers and the unnatural horrors they had witnessed. One by one, they began to fall ill, bleeding from their ears and noses. Their bodies started to show signs of decay. Patches of skin rotted away, as if they were decomposing from the inside out. When U-boat 977 finally surfaced off the coast of Argentina in August 1945, many of the crew had already perished. The Argentine authorities arrested Schaefer and the surviving crew members. But what followed was even more disturbing. Several of the survivors died within days of their capture, their bodies continuing to rot in strange localized patterns. Some bled profusely from their ears and eyes, while others seemed to waste away entirely. A report filed by Dr. Emil Fuchs, a German doctor who examined the bodies, remains one of the most perplexing pieces of evidence in this grim tale. His findings were chilling. Quote,
"The bodies of the deceased exhibit an advanced form of necrosis, beginning in the extremities and then spreading inward. Most disturbingly, this necrosis appears to have occurred while the individuals were still alive, as evidenced by signs of pain and stress in the muscle tissue. The bleeding from the ears and eyes suggests a form of internal hemorrhaging that is unexplainable to me by any known disease. I have never seen anything like this in my medical career. And it is if their bodies were consumed from within by some unknown force. I do not understand it."
Despite extensive investigations, no definitive explanation was ever given for their deaths, and the official records surrounding U-Boat 977's voyage remain classified. To this day, the true purpose of U-Boat 977's journey remains a mystery. Numerous theories have surfaced over the years, ranging from plausible to downright bizarre. Some believe U-Boat 977 was part of a larger Nazi operation to establish a secret base in Antarctica, known as Base 211. The theory suggests that high-ranking Nazi officials, perhaps even Adolf Hitler himself, fled to this base in the final days of the war, and that a suicide was staged. The strange structures and artifacts found by the crew support the idea of a hidden Nazi enclave, possibly experimenting with advanced or alien technology. Another theory suggests that the Nazis had discovered entrances to the fabled Hollow Earth, where an ancient, advanced civilization lived. The strange carvings and deformed skulls found in the underground chamber lend credence to this idea, with some believing that U-Boat 977 stumbled upon a gateway to this subterranean world. Some speculate that the Nazis discovered extraterrestrial artifacts in Antarctica, remnants of an alien civilization that crash-landed on Earth thousands of years ago. The glowing crystals, eerie hum, and embryo-filled test pods are seen as evidence of alien experimentation, possibly carried out by the Nazis in an attempt to create a new form of life. Among the more outlandish theories is that the submarine itself became cursed, a vessel fearing the souls of those who had been lost beneath the ice. The strange deaths of the crew after their capture, along with Schaeffer's descent into madness, are often cited as evidence of a supernatural force at play. The voyage of U-Boat 977 remains an unsettling enigma, one that has left historians, conspiracy theorists, and occult researchers baffled for decades. The submarine's inexplicable journey to Antarctica, the strange discoveries beneath the ice, and the horrific fate of its crew suggest that something far more sinister was at play than a mere escape attempt. Whether the men of U-977 were involved in secret Nazi operations, stumbled upon remnants of an ancient civilization, or became victims of something otherworldly, the events defy conventional explanation. Despite numerous investigations, the true purpose of their mission remains shrouded in secrecy. Government archives concerning the submarine are still classified, fueling the idea that whatever U-977 uncovered was too dangerous or too incomprehensible to be revealed to the world. The deaths of the crew, with their bodies decomposing while still alive, only deepens the mystery, as no known illness or toxin has ever been linked to such a grotesque condition. Theories of Nazi occultism, advanced alien technology, or even a hidden Antarctic base offer pieces of a puzzle, but none of them fit cleanly into this narrative. The unsettling reports, combined with Schaefer's silence and the crew's grotesque deaths, suggest the truth may be stranger and more horrifying than anything we can imagine. Perhaps the greatest fear is that U-boat 977 merely scratched the surface of what lies hidden beneath the Antarctic ice. Whatever ancient power or forgotten knowledge Schaefer's crew encountered, it remains there, still, silent, waiting, and perhaps, one day, ready to awaken again.